wait a few moments because sometimes streaming software is not really giving you the real representation. So we always want to wait for it to show streaming and live on YouTube before we go fully with it. And there it is. So welcome. Welcome to the latest episode of the Sim Standard Podcast with Smitty and SimFBallCritic, as well as Azure in spirit. Hopefully we'll be able to get Azure back, a little more often as time goes on. But of course, if he's not, he's already still here, so it doesn't matter. But how's everybody doing, man? Had a great week. Hope you guys did as well. You guys see it in the title there. We got started a little late tonight, so we decided to wait until about 8:30. So we'll run from 8:30 to 10 o'clock being the bar. We'll see if we make it that far. And all we're going to talk about tonight, man, of course, we got to talk about the Madden situation that happened with the Madden Bowl with Joke and not having a quarterback. I didn't see it, so I can't wait to hear everyone else's opinion. And I'll wait until we get to it to give a few preferences before we dive into it. But other than that, we'll talk about The Last Dance, man. We definitely want to recap The Last Dance. I'm thinking maybe we'll go in that direction first. It really doesn't matter. I'll see how Smitty feels, but we want to make sure we at least get both topics in. We don't want it to be a situation where, sometimes y'all know we tell y'all, oh man, we forgot to get to that. I don't want to do that tonight. I want to definitely talk about The Last Dance, and I definitely want to talk about what happened with Madden and the Madden Bowl. But without further ado, man, as we get started, I'm going to throw it to Smitty to see how his week was and whatever else he may want to say outside of the topics. I'll do the same, and then we'll dive into the topics. So what's up, Smitty, man? How was your week? How's everything? What's been going on?
Oh, nothing too much, man. Can't really call it. Just getting my setup together here. I had recently built a new PC, better PC, better performing PC. And just been getting that together. Excuse me, for a decent part of the week, and seeing The Last Dance and everything, that was outstanding. And
Masterpiece.
of course, that we're gonna get into that. And I mean, you know Jordan, man, that's what we like I said, we'll talk about that. The other thing though as well is just the Madden tournament. And I mean, when I look and see that, guys, I mean, I didn't watch it originally, so I didn't see it live. But when I saw people talking about, man, all he did was literally run the entire championship. Like, all he did was literally run the entire game and or the entire time, and then play defense and win. I'm like, that's literally it. Like, and I mean, the thing is, it's not a problem because, and we'll talk about it. I'll say it for when we talk about it, but you know, that's not a good look. And I mean, that's something I did tweet about. It did catch a decent number of retweets and likes. But I basically had said that, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't make your game look good when people are able to cheese it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of what metrics you want to pull up, retention rate, this and all that, you're the only football game on the block. So when you have a tournament that doesn't look good, and you say, oh, but all these numbers and rates, I'm like, once again, you're the only game there, man. So there's more that you got to do. Like, you have to, there's more you got to do than just putting out a game the way you guys put out. Like, it speaks volumes in terms of the caliber of the game that's being put out. And I mean, yes, cheese is always going to be found when we talk about these games, these products we play. There's always going to be cheese. Well, excuse me, the potential for cheese to be found is always going to be there. But not every single game on these tournament stages are all cheesed. You know what I'm saying? Like there's PC game competitions and all that and everything that don't even have that kind of stuff going on. But when it comes to Madden though, or when it comes to sports games, it's like people do all these cheesy things and then turn around and be like, oh, snap, oh, stick skill, and oh, like, so no, man, it's being celebrated like it was real, like what they did was great. Like they really set themselves apart from the rest by the way they, it's like, oh, that's such greatness and everything. And it's like, it really is. So, but yeah, we'll get into it. But I mean, that's really it, man. You know, like I just spend the rest of the week chilling, you know, doing a little bit of gaming, spending time with the family, of course, you know, and that's it, man.
Yeah, man. Same here. I won't spend too much time yapping. We'll get right to the action, as I like to always say. I didn't see it either, and I didn't go back to watch it. I don't think I needed to. You know, sometimes, even though you guys know I don't partake in social media as much, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't partake, because obviously what we're doing right now is technically social media. I do read Twitter. Sometimes I comment, but I'm just not. Y'all know it. Y'all see it. Y'all see I'm not on there like I used to be, commenting on everything, getting into this. I don't have the time to do it, because sometimes it's like a round robin and just continues to be the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. So I'm like, I'd rather not. However, this was a time when social media was great because I happened to just peek at Twitter and people going crazy, and I'm like, whoa, what happened? Heard what happened, and like I said, there's no point in me watching it because we've been playing Madden. Everybody knows what's wrong with Madden or what have you. So we'll dive into that. As far as the week, everything has been as good as it can be. You know, I don't know where everyone is living or what have you, but you know, you guys know I'm in Pennsylvania. Starting tomorrow, we're going into what's called a yellow status. In terms of the coronavirus and all of that, where, you know, everywhere is starting to slowly but surely do some form of reopening. I still think masks are going to be required everywhere. A lot of places are doing temperature checks. So we'll see. You know, I have my own thoughts on that, but, you know, I'm not really going to get into that tonight unless we go there. We'll see. My barber sent me, you know, a long, lengthy message and talking about, you know, he's going to get started again tomorrow, and man, the measures that he's taking, I gotta salute him on it. You know, he's only taking one person at a time. If you happen to be waiting, you gotta wait on this like a second level, because you know, you go into the shop, there's a first level where some barbers used to be, and then you step up to where he's at. You have to wait in there. You have to wear a mask if you're not being serviced. You'll be wearing a mask for the most part while you're being serviced, and you know, until he maybe is doing your beard or what have you. He's gonna have on a mask. He's taking temperatures, doing everything the right way. And I know it's tough for people like that, man, because they gotta try to get back to work some kind of way. Because I think people forget about those type of people, you know, salon owners and barbershop and things like that. That they're not working during this time, you know. So I get it. I'm contemplating on whether or not I'm going to do it. I told him to hold me a spot for Wednesday night, but we'll see. You know, I haven't fully decided yet. You know, we'll see. But anyway, as far as that, man, it's just great to see that not as much negativity has happened around the people that I guess I know or what have you, but I'm still being very cautious in terms of that. Other than that, let's dive into the topics, man. I mean, I'm doing great, doing fine. Family's doing fine. Let's get into the topics. Now, I didn't want to start with this first, but we might as well. But I'm committing to you guys that we are going to talk about The Last Dance. You know, I'm going to even actually look at the time that we get started here. It's about 8:40.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to go past 9:30. Maybe, hopefully not that far on Madden. We have to get both topics. We got to be better with staying to our topics. But let's go ahead and talk about Madden, man. One other thing I did want to say real quick, Smitty, man. Somebody sent this to me on Twitter. Let's see, who was it who sent it? On Twitter, his name is
Oh yeah,
Ace, but then he goes
the
by
Donnie Moore thing.
yeah, he
Yeah,
goes by
yeah.
Black Jade. He said if we're talking, he said, hey guys, if you're doing a podcast tonight, this poll from Donnie Moore could be a good topic. Shouldn't this be something more in line for addition to franchise as opposed to MUT if implemented correctly? First of all, I will say this before I read to you guys Donnie Moore's tweet. I'm not fully sure that this is just a MUT thing. So I wouldn't go too far left with that, assuming that it's MUT. I mean, you guys can correct me. Maybe he did say that, but I don't see that looking at the tweet. I don't see it being talked about as far as MUT whatsoever. It looks like this would be a global thing. Shout outs to Eric Rayweather. He also made a video about this, saying that how this could possibly be something that would more than likely be a Madden 21 feature and things like that. Why else would they be asking? But anyway, let me read you guys a tweet. And me and Smitty can spend a few seconds on that. And, we'll kind of merge that into the whole Madden Bowl situation. So he basically says, how bad of an idea is it to make stamina and injuries matter more in games? He says, talking a smart system, not a random. So I'm going to repeat all of this stuff that's buzzwords. He says, talking a smart system, not random. He says, one here. He said, one where. He says, one where if you run 5, 6, 7 straight times, your back is going to need a breather to get back to 100%. Injury risk rises as he stays on the field. Now, it's interesting, guys. He said, with the poll, is this a bad idea? Is it a terrible idea? Is it an awful idea? Not the worst idea. I'm glad to report that the results came back 68.5%. Not the worst idea. Here's the beauty of it, too, if we want to talk about MUT, even though I don't think he's talking about a specific mode. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you think about it on Twitter. Let's be honest. Let's take most of us off the table. Who are most of the people that are on Twitter? What type of Madden do they play? Most of these people are MUT players.
Right.
So, because I didn't even see this tweet. And maybe that's because I'm not on as much, but think about it. Those are the ones that voted on that.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing that even if we're talking about the MUT and competitive people, and just because you play MUT doesn't mean you're automatically a competitive player, but it's good to see that crowd would be more in favor of it. The interesting thing that I take from this, Smitty, is this is kind of, I don't know if it's not necessarily a new feature in terms of what the feature is providing. And let me explain that really quick. There's already stamina in the game. There's already, if you run when the guy is in the red or something like that, you run more risk of getting hurt or fumbling. However, what I'm interested in is the smart system. I want to know how far down the rabbit hole does that go, because I don't think people are paying attention to that wording. That means that it will work differently than how it currently works in game. So I want to know more about this. That's what I take from that. And yes, it should be that way. Smitty would remember this. There was a time we were down at EA. Alfred Morris comes. He's there with his lovely wife. She was pregnant at the time. Great guy. I mean, this dude was such a nice guy. I became a fan of Alfred Morris forever. Just because of how nice and genuine he was, how he was acting towards us as if we were the NFL players. Like, oh man, so nice to meet you guys. Da, da, da. Long story short, he sat right in there, and this was years ago. He said, we got into the conversation about, man, how running backs get tired and things like that. And he said specifically, look, man, after I pull off a few jukes or truck or whatever, I'm gassed. He was like, I can't just get there. I got to really fight. I do that a few times. I am gassed. And he's like, I'm not talking about throughout the duration. And got to give a shout out there to Odessa Hall Menifee, a Terrible Towel Tuesday watcher. Definitely appreciate the donation, man. It's always interesting, man, to see how you can carry. I don't like to say fans. I don't like to say subs. Y'all know I'm more of the family oriented. When you can carry viewers with you from one thing that you do that has nothing to do with the other, and they watch you doing something else. So that's always special to me. So I appreciate that. But yeah, Alfred Morris out of his own mouth was like, look, I'm not talking about me running 6 times in a row. I mean, if I break out for 30, 40 yards, I put a juke on one guy, stiff arm another guy. Yeah, I'm a little gassed after that. I need a breather. And we've been fighting for that since then. I remember standing up and saying, see, listen, this guy's in the league. Listen to what he's saying. This is what we're talking about. Because to give a shout out to Shopmaster, Shop always is campaigning for another feature that Smitty and I talk about a lot. Progressive fatigue. Throughout the duration of the game, throughout the duration of the season.
Yep.
And Shop was there that time too. And we were saying, see what I'm saying? When you play an NFL game, I haven't played in one, so I'm not going to act like I know. But I'm just using common sense here. I have played football. Right? You're not 100% throughout the whole game. That's just like when they say people get, that fourth quarter, when the fourth quarter comes, you got to dig deep. So that was always our point about Madden, is like the players just stay too fresh. So, okay, fatigue is in the game, of course. Stamina is in the game, but we never really knew to what degree it actually works. So that's what's important to me. I want to know what exactly Donnie Moore is talking about. Pay attention to the wording there. A smart system, not random. So that makes me feel like, Smitty, that there would be more factors behind it instead of it just being like, oh, he's ran 5 times. Let's make him tired now. So that would be my interesting thing to know, is how this system works. If this is something that they are actually implementing, I want to know a little more about it. So that's kind of how I took it. What was your initial thoughts, man, when you saw that?
When I saw it, first of all, it's like, this is something that should have been in the game before, like we always say.
Years ago.
And even to that point there, that just adds more on top of it, because you had, like I said, I was there with, Sim at that time. Alfred Morris came to the studio, and he broke bread about the fatigue stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I think this was when was the feature brand? No, this was when Jameis Winston and Mariota were rookies. They were coming in because they had came by the studio, or I think Jameis came by the studio. We didn't get to see him.
Yeah,
but he came by the studio.
We were supposed to meet Jameis too, and we missed him.
Yeah. Yep. So the thing is that I don't know what year Madden that was, but the bottom line is that when he was in the building, he talked about that fatigue management system that they had in the game, and that's what Sim said. After a few moves, dude's exhausted. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have that. They don't always just have all that energy to just run full stride, full speed like that, because they spent themselves on a few moves. So that system that they have, they definitely need to, like, it excuse me. It does need to be something that has an organic element to it, because that's what Gizzy get back. It's because that's something that we've said multiple times needs to be in the game. Because think about it. If you run an offense, hold on a second, guys. Gotta close this door. All right, now. My daughter to close the door, she didn't fully close it. So now, if you have a system like this, and see the reason why I could look across the street, at NBA 2K, And it's like they have that kind of system too. As you play through the league, when you play through a game, players get tired, things like that. But certain players that can still turn up and still dig deep and everything like that and still play in the fourth quarter and give you that, like they could be, their energy levels can be low, but they could still give you that work. You should have players like that, in Madden that do that. But when you're playing through a league, they're going to be fatigued. That's going to open them up to more injury. So even with, because you got to think about it. That should be, this is what I'm saying. This is where if the whole system were blew out, this is where this would be real nice. Because what about practice? How hard are you going to go in practice with that player that you was just running
practice? Practice? We talking about practice?
Yeah. Like, how hard do you want to go? Because if he's open to injuries, and as we all know in the NFL, dudes be getting jacked up in training camp. You know what I'm saying? Like just regular training camp. Like we saw what happened with Bridgewater. You know what I'm saying? Just a regular drop back, and then his knee exploded or whatever. It's like it's the same kind of deal. Like players get hurt all the time in various ways. So it's like, all right. Oh, they're watching. Okay, all right, okay. So, so when you look at this system here, and you're talking about like playing a game, how much they're using in the game, practice, how hard do you go in practice with the running back group in terms of what you have them doing, all that activity, and then next game and the next game. That stuff should be factored in when it comes to how you play. All of that stuff should come into play because players will get jacked up. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, not a random system, not a randomly dudes getting tired system, but based upon how they're being used. See, MUT is more of an arcade-like approach. That's why I get where Donnie's going with that. If you run 5, 6, 7, 8 straight times, blah, 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 because people like to run no huddles and they like to run particular plays according to the quote-unquote meta. But when you have people that are playing the game from a, authentic replication potential standpoint of the NFL, they want to be able to play the game and see these fatigue variables and see how much they utilize their backs and everything. They want that to actually feel like it needs to feel a lot more like it truly matters that I ran them that much. It truly matters that I use them that much. Having a better injury system, having a better, like it all will go hand in hand. So this is a good idea, but this is something that should be, yes, it should be a franchise-centric thing. I mean, just think of all the things that I just named off. Like, that's all franchise-centric stuff. MUT doesn't have cards that you can use like how 2K has with my team. If you have players that get hurt in my team, you have cards to heal injuries. You know what I'm saying? Based off of when they get hurt and all that stuff, or how they get hurt. You don't have anything like that in Madden. So this is like being used in a sense to deter cheats. You know what I'm saying? And overly usage of backs, of running backs. So yes, this needs to be a more franchise centric system first and foremost before you put that into franchise. I mean, MUT thing. Like, I feel that it should be over there first. You know what I'm saying? Let's see how it is in franchise mode, or debut it in both sides. Have it in both. Not just excuse me, like not just in Ultimate Team, but also have it in the franchise mode. But it wouldn't now would it be cool if they had this in franchise mode this year? Yeah, it would. I would love for it to be there. I feel that, in my opinion, if I were doing the poll for the Ultimate Team side, it's kind of to see, maybe it's something like we did it this year. But maybe we'll do it. Maybe it's something we can update, or maybe we could progressively develop it and put it into the Ultimate Team side of the game because of what's being done, or I should say, excuse me, or because of what's because we all know how guys feel about having those realistic elements in Ultimate Team. They don't want it to be realistic. They don't want to deal with realism in football. They want to be able to do arcade-like things with realistic football players. So, that's basically my take on it. But shout out Mr. Antoine Myers, our main man. You know what I'm saying? That's our guy. Shout out to him for the donation, basically $10 donation, saying he wish he could stay up, but he couldn't. Y'all be easy, just showing support. We always appreciate you, man. Like I say, he had some sliders. I did it in the stream before, showcasing the sliders. They're pretty cool. They're a pretty good slider set that he had. So, it helps with the game a little bit. But I mean, once again, so many obstacles in that game to try and play it and make it playable. It's tough. What I'm saying? It's real tough. So, but much respect, much shout out to our brother Antoine. But go ahead, Sim. Throw back to you.
Definitely, huge shout out to Antoine. And you guys probably just saw that pop up right there. I was testing the widget because I didn't see his pop up in the stream. I saw it in the chat, but y'all probably laughing at that widget that says Sim donated $18 to Sim. But
investing in himself, y'all, as the show's going on, like
crazy. But yeah, man. And yeah, be safe, Antoine. I know you said you can't stay up. I know he's a truck driver, so be safe, brother. Be safe on the road, man, and just be safe with health and all of that while we're dealing with this pandemic. But yeah, man, let's jump right into it, man, so we can be wrapped up by 9:30, so we can start talking about the last dance. One little thing I will say in regards to what Smitty said, and this is not against Smitty's point at all, it's just it made me think about something when he mentioned where they should start it and shouldn't start it. The thing is too, man, I mean, Smitty has said this as well. I'm getting tired of the things like Apex used to say, departmentalizing like football and components. I don't want to see more. I don't want to see any more things that's only for MUT, only for regs, only for not when it comes to fundamental aspects. I can understand, certain badges or whatever. If you want to make something cute for MUT, that's cool. But anything that's a fundamental aspect, like the way the players move or the fatigue or animations, whatever, that should be across the board. The game should function like that. First, the game. I don't care what mode. The game should function the same regardless of mode. The only thing the mode should do is tailor your experience in terms of what the mode offers. But anything on the field, like fundamental aspects, fatigue, stamina, player movement, and so forth, physics, whatever you want to call it, passing mechanics, all of that stuff should just be the way the game functions. Nothing should be a MUT thing, a franchise thing. No, not when you're talking about that stuff. So that's just my little soapbox there. Diving right into the joke stuff, man. I'm going to take this a slightly different direction than the norm. Because what I'm seeing, of course, and I know a lot of us, in the sim community, we're very vocal. When we hate this, we hate that. When we see certain things that we don't deem as real football. But here's the tricky thing, right? And I'm not, shooting joke, any bail or anything like that. No, I don't know joke. So I'm not going to sit here and talk negatively about him. And that's one thing I think we do need to stop in the sim community. I see it in our community a lot. Let's not chastise the guys playing the game in these tournaments. They're just playing the game, right? They're not, I'm not going to say all of them in a nutshell, but most of these guys are not overly passionate about the game the way we are. And I'm not even going to say they're not passionate about football because I don't know these guys personally. but they might not be as passionate about the game being so realistic that they play on their TV. So a lot of these guys is just a video game, right? So I'm not going to chastise these guys for playing the game the way they want to play it, or even better, playing the game the way that EA allows them to play it. Let's start with that. Because I've seen a lot of people criticize and joke saying he's not that good, and, you know, if this was right, never right, we'll never know. Because the thing is, I'm telling you, some of these guys, and I don't know about all, I can't speak for all, but there's guys that would, the cream that would still rise to the top, even if the game was a full-blown sim. And shout outs to Leonardus. Appreciate the donation. He says Sim for president. Don't get me started on politics, but man, thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. But back to what I was saying. Some of these guys would still be good if the game was a full-blown sim. Because some of these guys are just good at studying a game and learning how to play it. And like I said, not all. You know, and I am going to say one name here. And, you know, my apologies if I'm wrong on him. But I'll take a guy like Volterax, right? We saw what he did that year when he was rising up the ranks. Yeah, a guy like that might not necessarily have the same success if the game was more simulation-based because he was using a glitch. Whereas guys like Problem, what's my other? I can't remember my dude's name, man. This is one of my guys, man. I cannot remember his name. Forgive me. If he sees this, he knows. You know who you are. Skimbo. Guys like Skimbo.
He commentated that game, by the way, that championship game. So shout out to Skimbo.
Those guys would learn how to play the game regardless. So I'm not going to just say, oh, because they're competitive players, they don't know anything. But let me speed up my point because I'm rambling. The thing is, I'm not going to attack Joke for playing the game the best way he can to win the bread. The game shouldn't allow you to do that. That's number one. But here's another curveball I'm going to throw at some of y'all. But follow where I'm going. So he ran the ball and didn't pass, played defense, quote unquote, good defense, Madden defense, and won. Well, here's the thing that frustrates you about Madden. If somebody argued with me and said, well, that does happen in real football. Look at the Tennessee Titans. Hard to argue, right? However, here's the problem. Madden doesn't offer the real ability to address things like, for example, is there a true way to stop the way he was running? And I didn't see it. I'm just going off of what everybody was saying on Twitter. So if he was doing something that it was completely skill-based, and there's some of you guys that say watching this or who will see this that say, no, I could have stopped that, then I digress. I don't know. I'm just speaking off of, I know, we all know the flagrant stuff that happens in Madden. We saw it way back when they brought the MCS back. Remember when Problem was running fullback dive? So I'm going to assume, and again, Madden hasn't earned the respect for me to assume the best. I'm going to assume the worst. I'm going to assume that Joke was running stuff that is almost unstoppable. I'm assuming. But the parallel with real football is there are teams that do that. And that's what ticks me off about Madden is because there is a somewhat realism factor when you just talk about football that you can't deny. However, the game is not a simulation. I'll give you another quick example. Most of us that play in sim leagues, we have rules, right? You can't run the same play X amount of times. But teams in the NFL do it all the time. And that's the thing. So just to sum up my point, it's not so much how Joke played. I'm not going to criticize him for that. I know it probably was crazy to see somebody just run the football and don't pass it. But the real root of the problem is the way the game is currently designed. we say this every week, and I'm going to say it again and throw it to Smitty. If weight and momentum and physics and inertia and leverage and all of these things, strength, all of these things mattered at all times, we're not having this conversation. And that's what's so frustrating about Madden is, yes, teams in the NFL, there are teams that are run heavy. Your Tennessee Titans of the world. Heck, the Baltimore Ravens, even though, Lamar passed more last year, I know. But just for, sake of argument, there are teams who can just run it down your throat and play good defense. But it's not believable in Madden because the way that people play good defense, they play Madden defense, doesn't always correlate to real football. And that's the most frustrating thing. And the last thing I will say about it, hopefully this is a good sign. It was on the stage with a lot of eyeballs on it and people taking a lot of heat. And, no disrespect to Clint, but I hear Clint is catching it on Twitter. Maybe those people above will say, "Hey, what's going on? What is all of this? Why are they so upset with our game? What happened?" And then maybe Clinton, the boys, gonna be like, "Well, this if you would have let us do this like we said we want to do last year, this wouldn't have happened." Well, do whatever you got to do for Madden 21. I'm spitballing, but I'm saying the worse the game looks on the public stage, the better for us, because that means we might get a better game. Or the NFL could be peeping like, people do be talking about this 2K company a lot. Should we open a license? So that's how I look at it. I know that's kind of dreaming, but I'm just saying.
Shout out to Ken, man.
What he said? Can we get
on a 3-year contract to get the game headed in the right direction?
Man, I tell you.
Said hire Deuce Douglas on the franchise team, franchise gameplay first. Hey,
they don't need us, man. That's the funny part about it.
Crazy part, man. Like, I mean, big time shout out to you with the donation.
Yes, definitely.
But at the same time, though, they don't need us on the team. That's the part that you got to understand, bro. I'm telling you, if anybody can be in that building and really get like the gist of how stuff works, it's like, bro, they don't need us in the building, but they have to be enabled to do the work. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if they don't enable them to do the work, then we're gonna keep having these kind of discussions, and that's the sad part, man. So yeah, but no, go ahead, Sam.
Oh no, I was gonna throw it to you. I will say this last point because after Smitty wraps up, I want to just go to Last Dance. I don't want to keep circling with Madden because y'all know we'll get caught in that matrix. I want to say this. I have to. I gotta poke fun sometimes. I'm gonna challenge some of y'all, man, because I put this on Twitter the other day. I get it. I get where we all coming from when we saying the game sucks and this and that and this and that and it's trash and that dude can't play. You know how the chat section get. But where y'all at? Listen to me. Yeah. SimFBallCritic, the most, not the most, because you guys are the same, but one of the super sim heads, fully blown sim football game. That's what I want. But let me tell you, if I thought I could go play joke the way he played or play problem the way they played and win that bread, I would be doing it. I would be doing it and still doing this show. So my challenge to y'all is while everybody sits back and saying how easy it is and he did, why ain't y'all doing
it?
Yeah. To me, people always want to, poke at people and get their opinion. If it's so easy, why ain't some of y'all winning? I hear it all the time. Man, he ain't even that good. Bruh, why can't you do it then? That ain't going to mess with your sim integrity, folks. I'm not going to look at you as a non-sim guy because, perfect example, that boy Kia, I'm sure, is in here. If Kia go out there and win that money, you think I'm going to look at Kia like he don't know football? And why Kia? I'm gonna be doing like this. My man, go get that money, kid. So I'm gonna challenge y'all with that. All y'all do is complain, man. I could do that. Let me see it. And all I'm saying is, even though that ain't our style of football, don't act like these dudes ain't. These dudes are good at studying what the game does and doesn't do, and manipulating that. I can't play like that. I can't. And I'll be honest in saying this. I don't even know all of the runs in the game that's broken. Because I don't play like that. So some people will say, oh yeah, that's broken. You can get such and such yard. I would only know that by noticing it the more I play. I don't know all the money runs. Because I'm silly me, always trying to play Madden like a sim game. So, that's it. I had to say that though, Smitty, because people
silly me.
People kill me with that, man. Man, I could have done that. Okay, well, why didn't you?
Yeah, all right, then go ahead and go do it. Like, if it's like that, just do it.
Go do it. Go get that money.
Yeah, like all that money on the table, these cats racking up. Go ahead and get them racks. Shoot. But like, no, man, look. What I'll say is this, man. Like, I watched the game. You know, I watched the clinching game, and it's like, you know, I watched it, and it was basically, it wasn't like he just had this great blocking scheme or whatever. It's just, it was more of an opportunity kind of thing where the gap just so happened to be open, and he was able to shoot through. But the thing is, if the play, see, this is what I'm saying. If you have more realistic player movement, he wouldn't have been able to get 2 of those touchdowns.
There you go. Now we talking.
You know what I'm saying? That's number 1. Number 2, and this I said this to Sim before the show started. Watching him be able to get in the backfield and blitz and get some of those sacks. Some of those O-linemen, see, this is what I'm saying about this game being so animation based. There were block animations that should have triggered that never did.
Yeah.
So because they never did trigger, you just had the O-lineman moving around with their hands up like this, and then the defender was able to go around him when an animation should have triggered. So there are instances where he got sacks where he never should have got it. You see what I'm saying? Pressure was generated where he should not have gotten the pressure. You see what I'm saying? So there's that. But on top of that too, he was, and once again, this is not Joke's fault. This is not his fault. Right. This is just the way the game is made. He was executing by playing Madden strategy, by using these defensive formations based off of how Madden functions, not off of football principles.
Right.
It was off of how Madden functions. So he positioned defenders to take away 2 potential pass routes at times. Why? Because the way the passes come, they're limited patterns. So it's like, oh, if I have a defender here and I have a defender here, if he tries to throw the ball, they're going to be able to get to that spot and they'll be able to pick it. Now, if the passing, I'm up here thinking like, man, if the passing was more like Madden, how it was back on PS2, or if it was like how it was in NFL 2K5, my man would be able to pick him apart in some instances, because you're not going to be able to essentially put your man in the exact spot and stop everything. There were passes that he thrown that was like, man, see, if this was APF, they would have allowed you to throw a more elevated bullet up and away, and he would have been able to make some plays between some of those defenders. But because the way Madden works, they make you throw it to where the receiver is going to be instead of where he can get to. So you can't truly throw receivers open. So from a tournament standpoint, and from what he was doing, he was able to put players all in position. So by the time, if he was able to make a read, if he didn't get it out there super duper quick, it's gone, because you're able to take so many things away easily. So that's the problem. That's the problem that was going on in that game. And I'm like, yep, I see why he was. I'm like, I saw what he was doing. I saw his strategy. I'm like, see, I know why he could stop. I'm like, yeah, he got him shut down because the way he played defense according to how Madden works, not because it had nothing to do with football. It had everything to do with this is how Madden works. So if you get the absolute best players you possibly can get on defense in terms of how those thresholds work on playing in a comp mode and those settings, then yeah, he basically took a systematic approach in terms of how the game works and just play chess that way. Excuse me, not chess, but he played checkers because that's what it is. It's checkers. It's not chess.
Can't blame him.
He played checkers out there, and he won. It worked, and he won. I'm gonna have this punter. I'm gonna have this punter at quarterback because I can hand the ball off. I think they said they hand the ball off to the left, and he hands it off quicker. That may have been key to him getting some of those runs because the funny thing is when he scored the touchdown, when he scored the first, I think two of his touchdowns that he scored were runs to the left on the left-hand side of the line, and he was able to get through. In cases, he was able to get through before the defense could even get there, and he was able to get through. And then because they have that turnstile hummingbird motion running when you change directions at times, it was like he ran forward and then just ping-ponged out. When real talk, the speed he was running, for him to change direction, he would have had to jump cut. There's no way. He would have had to stop, turn, dig in, pivot. He wouldn't have been able to do that. And
he had a punter handing the ball off?
Yeah, he didn't have a quarterback. He had blockers, like what some people said in the comments. He had a left tackle at the wide receiver position.
Oh my god! Now that's Mutt for you. That's the fantasy part of Mutt playing guys out of position. Oh, I hate that.
But this was the salary cap, so it was like he had linemen at wide receiver positions to help with blocking, and he had a punter at quarterback, and he had him there so he can hand off the ball. It's like if he hands the ball off to the left, the ball is handed off quicker. So that, once again, systematic exploitation. See what I'm saying? Put all the money, all his salary cap investment on offensive line and heavy on the defense, and that's literally all he did. So, and that's how he was able to win. He exploited again. He pulled the Volterax. You know what I'm saying? Basically, that's what he pulled the Volterax, except this time he won the title.
Man, you know what I might have to do, man? And it's on YouTube, too, because I think they stream the YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, it was on YouTube. That's how I watched the recap.
It'll piss a lot of people off. I know it would, but the old sim that like how we used to do might have to come back for one. Like I'm feeling like taking that video and making a video about all that's wrong with it.
Oh yeah.
But we'll see. I'm if I get the time, cause it's. And here's the thing, guys. We still got a little time. We got about 11 minutes before 9:30. So we'll definitely wrap Madden by then. But there's a couple things I did want to say really quick. That's the fantasy part of Mutt. And I know us guys, like the sim community, I know a lot of times people hate that because you say, oh, that would never happen in real life. I get it. But Mutt isn't real life. Mutt is a fantasy type of league. But this brings me back to my original point. If the game respected everything, none of that would matter. Right? So don't get sim community, don't get so in your feelings about that's why I hate Mutt and they should never be. No. I'm cool with a fantasy mode, and if you want to play with fantasy, fine. But the caveat would be if the game still respected football. Then it's a whole different ball game. Because you go ahead and put that that left tackle out there as a wide receiver. And I understand that, oh, he's a good blocker, so I'm going to just run a toss or whatever. But in real football, a DB go get past him so fast. Like, in space, that dude ain't never going to get my corner. If I'm real football and I'm coaching against him, bro, he better not let a hand on you. He better not get one hand on you in space. A left tackle? And I'm playing off the line, and all I got to do is get past him and get to the rock? Come on. And that's what I'm saying. Even though Joke did that, and I didn't see it, but from the sounds of it, it shouldn't work. Just off of sheer speed.
Off of football?
It shouldn't work.
Off of football? There's no way he would have won that. No way.
And that's why I feel like I love when those things happen, because hopefully with it being on this stage, and it becomes a laughingstock, and what may happen is you'll start getting more actual players being like, come on, that ain't real. Then they gonna pay attention. The powers that be are gonna pay attention. So that's all I can hope for, man. And for those people who say, you know, again, it's not my job to change how you feel, but this is stuff, man, that the developers have wanted to fix for years in terms of just how the game functions, what it respects, what it doesn't respect, the coding, but they can't do it. They can't do it unless the people above them say, let's fix that. Everything is time. That's what y'all have to understand. Everything, when you hear them say it costs too much, they're talking about engineers and, you know, pulling this guy off of this project to do that. Those are the things that the A-Dubs of the world and Clint's and RG, those type of guys, those are the battles they face. When, let's say, a guy like A-Dub want to put all of these techniques or whatever in the game, but he can't do it because he's not given the resource time. And that, to me, is what, until we see a change up top, man, all we can hope for is stuff like what just happened. Because that thing made national news, brother.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. That ain't the news. If I was a EA executive, then instead of this conversation, y'all would probably be saying how realistic this game is. It's too hard. It's too realistic, because I would be a nut with it. But just putting my mind in their mind, that can't be good for business. Regardless of how many views, whatever they got, that can't be good for business when the headline is guy wins Madden without even a quarterback. You think the NFL gonna be cool with that when their most marketable person right now is a quarterback? Most recognizable faces in the league are quarterbacks. Right. See, guys, now you got to start thinking beyond Madden. See, this is kind of where my mind goes. NFL saw that. Excuse me. That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that there's some pressure that comes from up top down to be like, oh, no, we can't. But here's the thing, Smitty, and this is the last thing I would say about it. If they're forced to change things, I hope they don't do the whole Band-Aid situation. Don't do that. Stop. Dev bosses, whoever the bosses. This is who I'm talking to. I hope you're watching. Allow the devs to fix the game the proper way. None of these Band-Aids, none of these nano detections and all that junk, just because you're not allowing them to develop the game properly. No more of that. If you want the game to function, y'all going to have to take a year or two to build the code out. And that's all you can do. Stop throwing stuff on top of stuff. That's why every year, not only are there glitches, but there's actual meta. That in itself lets y'all know it's recycled. There's no way we should be saying every year the meta. What's this year's meta? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, guys. Forgive me if I'm not optimistic or whatever. It's just, I know where the decision has to come from. And I'm not confident that it will until I see it. And when we see Madden 21, maybe, Smitty and I will notice some intricate things and be like, oh, that's different. And then we'll tell you. But until I see it, I'm going to assume that same deal. We'll see. Hopefully the joke situation made Madden a joke and it will force these guys to fix it. So we'll see.
Yeah, and please, guys, and understand this too, you guys, is that from what we're saying regarding
He
you
said
know,
Clint trash. You see my man in there.
yeah, I saw. I mean, it ain't got nothing to do with Clint.
Uh,
That's the thing that keeps being missed.
y'all hard,
It ain't got
man.
nothing to do with the dev team, man. It's not their decision at the end of the day. But
Oh
I
man.
mean, this is that national attention is not good. Don't get me wrong. And it's like, and once again, like what Sim said earlier, we're not knocking these players because the crazy thing is, and I've been in the studio, like Sim been in the studio, I have too, with some of these guys. These dudes know football. So if this game was a legit football game and that's it, that's you would still see these dudes on that stage. It's not like none of these guys will be there. None of these guys will make it. No, they'll be on that stage too. So, but the product has got to be a lot better. I mean, it can't be coming out like
It's
this.
gotta be better, man.
Yeah. So.
And yeah. I don't know. It's funny, man. I think sometimes people take the low hanging fruit, whether it's the devs or the argument that you always see. It's MUT. It'll never be simulation because of MUT. Well, my question to you guys then is, out of all of the sports games that are on the market, do y'all think any of those games are a simulation? And if you think they are, all of them have card collecting. Every single one of them. It's not MUT, honestly. And what I'm saying is, MUT isn't the reason why the game couldn't be a simulation. Think about it. MUT would actually be better if this game was okay. NFL 2K20 with what they call it over there. What is it? My Team?
Yeah.
Think about that. Just sit and think on that for a minute. It would be a simulation game because most of us would say 2K in the more recent years did it better with Ultimate Team. So the two can exist. Now, if your argument is they don't care because they're making so much money, maybe. But again, we keep telling y'all what it is. It's the lack of competition. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
There's nobody forcing those who dictate the money to do anything any faster than they've been doing it. They can slow roll it as long as they want. As long as they want. And it's just that simple. If there was another company making football games, you would see more progression because then you're forced to because you don't want to become NBA Live. So, all right, let's get off of that, man. We finished a minute early.
All right.
Wow, Smitty. I don't even know where to start with this last dance, man. We're going to try to cram 30 minutes. I mean, of course, if we boil over to next week, it's fine. I don't know where to start, man. I will start very simple, and I'll let you kick it off, man. I've talked too much. I want to hear your thoughts. One simple word, phenomenal. It, to me, was a phenomenal doc. I like the way they strung us along after each one. I like how I really like how they tied the narrative together. I really love how they bounce from, first three-peat to the latest three-peat and first championship and then the first one of the 90s, and loved it all. And I know I'm just giving surface answers here until we dive in, but there's no doubt in my mind, listen, not just because I was fortunate enough for us to be, born in the era, even though, we were not the age we are now, but we remember watching Michael Jordan. And I'm sorry. There's no question. He's the guy, period. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the... Listen, I let all of the guys be great in their own era. I don't do the LeBron comparison. They're not the same. You cannot compare them. Even Kobe. You can't compare them. You know, they just let all of them guys be great. And again, I'm not telling people how to act. I just don't get in those conversations because it's like you can't definitively say LeBron is better than Kobe. Kobe's better than so-and-so. Jordan is better. But I will say there's nobody who did it like Jordan. In my eyes. I haven't seen that. In my eyes and age of watching, I have never seen. And if you didn't know who he was, you know more about him now. We haven't heard no guy quite like that. His will, his determination, sheer getting pissed. Like it ain't even a word, but I was going to say his pissedness off of somebody else being compared to him. Like, Jordan didn't play them games. Or he didn't play those, like to hear that he had a hit list. Like, come on, man. That's what I'm saying. LeBron ain't never had that. But LeBron is great in other areas. Kobe had that killer instinct like that. But even those dudes aren't the same. And come on, man. Kobe just told us in the doc. Oh, God bless the dead, man. But Kobe told us, without Mike, I don't get them 5. So I'm going to leave it there for a moment, kind of surface until we dive in. But what you guys, Smitty, man? What was, I guess, your overall thoughts, things that stick out to you the most, things that you may not have known or things that you forgot about? But what were your overall thoughts about The Last Dance?
I mean, overall, the Last Dance was like just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal. It was well put together. It was something that definitely was not. I did not expect it. I did not expect it to go that way. I definitely will say that. Like, I expected this to be a documentary. Yeah, they're talking about, they're gonna be talking about Jordan, and they're gonna talk about the team and everything like that. But I didn't expect them to go into even Steve Kerr's background. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they talked about Steve Kerr's background and everything, which he did hit key clutch shots in the second run. But showcasing these different players. Now, the way that they talked about it in the media and everything like that, they see how people got portrayed and everything. Like, you see Horace Grant upset. Craig Hodges had something to say about that as well. And then even Scottie Pippen, they're saying Pippen is upset. So, because of how he was portrayed in that, and in that, it was like this was a Jordan joint, but everybody else had a piece of it. But some people got took down a few pegs. Like Pippen got took down a peg.
Yeah, Pip.
Horace Grant got took down a peg. Like, they took people down some pegs, and I'm like, that I could see them having a problem with that because they were took down a level, because what I forgot what I was watching, and they were saying this is the kind of documentary that the younger generation could watch. The Jump I was looking at, and they were talking to T-Mac and Paul Pierce. It was like, this is a documentary that younger players can watch and really get inspired and be like, oh, so that's how I really should play. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could take that as that real inspiration instead of what they've been seeing out here, like currently. But I mean, you saw Jordan have to go through that tough road. Like, yeah. He went through that tough road. He went through, why he went to go play baseball. You saw some of that. And I mean, it made him look a bit more human. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we don't really get to see, we don't get to see people like that up close in that light. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, he had issues with gambling, and yeah, it was stuff like that was going on and everything. And it's like that, those things were pointed out. But, and this is my thing about when the LeBron point is made, and that's why I said on Twitter, I was like, the old LeBron talk, all that stuff is dead, it's done. And this is why. Excuse me. And it's not that LeBron's not a great player. It's not that he's not a great talent, any of that kind of stuff. But the problem with it is that, you know, the way that LeBron played, the way that LeBron approached this era, I mean, not this era, but the era that he created is the era of super team play. Clicking up with your buddies, clicking up with your friends, and going at it. Whereas back then, it was about, I'm trying to beat you. I'm trying to beat the way Jordan talked. That's how all these other cats were. They're like, I ain't trying to team with you. I'm trying to beat you. Like that's literally where it was. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at the way it is now and you see how these players are today, that's why when you look at MJ, you know, like when LeBron originally made that decision, it was like, man, you wouldn't dare see Isaiah Bird and Magic all say, hey, yo, let's click up and do it. Like, let's run the table. Like, no, you wouldn't dare see that. You know what I'm saying? And also, you wouldn't dare see Jordan. If Jordan was on the team and they had the best record in the NBA for 2 straight seasons, there's no way you're going to see him get bounced out. There's no way. That team would be poised for a title because of the moxie. That's why they say. That's why I said, if Pippen went to the Sonics instead of the Bulls, instead of them making that draft day deal to get him to the Bulls, Pippen may have been a great player, but who's to say he would have been a 50 greatest player? Who's to say that he would have been that, you know, that ferocious guy that he was while he was with the Bulls, with Jordan next to him? You see what I'm saying? I mean, you saw what happened. You saw what happened when Pippen was not. I mean, when Jordan was not there, and Tony Kukoc hit that shot. Number one, if that play was designed and Kukoc took the shot and hit it, and Jordan was there, no way Pippen is acting like that. No way. He's not going to act like that next to Jordan. But he's acting like that because he's over there on, you know, when it's just him, oh, he's going to act that way. That's not happening with MJ there.
Yeah, that was crazy too.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Come on, Scotty.
Yeah, like
team player.
That stuff right there wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. You see, so that's the difference when you talk about a guy like what LeBron would do versus like, no, LeBron will fold up and fall to the back. We've seen that happen. And it's like he folds up, falls to the back, points his finger at everybody else, says, well, I did my job and y'all didn't do yours.
Man.
You don't see that happen with MJ. And then look at the battles that Jordan had to do. And like going away from the comparisons with the Jordan stuff. I mean, with the LeBron stuff. Gary Payton. We said this before. We said, yeah, I think we said it like last week or whatever. But I mean, they could have went more in depth. They could have went more in depth. Okay, about Gary Payton and those stats and everything, because he's like, well, and I mean, you know, he's like, well, Peyton did hold him down. Like he clamped him up. Those 3 games, like he held Jordan. Like he had like 21 points or whatever. He averaged playing against what's his name, against Peyton. So he did have an impact. But when it comes to the player individual that you're talking about, those guys are going to have that you know, man, that guy can't hold me. He can't guard. Man, he ain't stopped me at all. What you talking about? He ain't do nothing. Man, I had no problem with him. It's the same thing. And shout out to the guys at First Infirmaries, because I made this point when I was on there with those guys Tuesday. They had me over there with them. When it comes to, it's the same thing that happened when Shaq and Kobe did their dialogue a few years ago, like what, a year or so ago. It's the same thing. they was like when it came to the 04 Pistons, he straight up said, "Come on, really? You know you was fooling around that year. You know we should have won that. Come on, Ben Wallace. Those guys ain't got. Come on now, those dudes stopped us. It's like you're going to downplay who went up against you, even though ultimately, yeah, the Pistons would have taxed that tail regardless if they head was straight or not. Them boys would have got taxed. But the point is that you know you guys are two top echelon players and you're having to sit down together. You're not going to sit up there and all of a sudden be humble and be like, if it was an exhibition game or a preseason game and be like, yeah, so and so he did get me, blah blah blah. That's one thing, but you're not going to see that actually. You're not going to see them actually dig into that. Just like the Iverson crossover. Heck, I would have loved to see from Jordan's perspective. I would love to have heard him talk about when he got busted by him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that was a very iconic moment too. And it's like, none of that stuff was brought up. Yeah, like when Iverson got him,
Yeah.
I mean, he was.
They would have had that in the doc. That would have been cool.
Yeah, like when he got like, don't get me wrong, he got crossed up before. He got served. You know what I'm saying? Grant Hill served him up. They ain't show that. You know what I mean? So it's like there are key. I mean, that wasn't as key as Iverson because Iverson got him twice on the same play.
That's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah.
That's why I don't argue with people, man, because it's, like my man here, I was getting ready to comment to him, but just to say this real quick, that's why I rarely compare players, because eras means everything to me. Like, ask my dad who was the best football player, running back. Pops might say, Gale Sayers. Not James Brown. Jim Brown. I can't argue that. When I look at film, bruh, you talk about shifty. Gale Sayers was, just looking at film, was, how we say Shady McCoy was shifty? He was that way before. Like, but how you going to argue that? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Where we might say Barry Sanders. So I don't do the LeBron, the Kobe, all of that comparison, man. Because like I said, AI is one of my favorite players of all time, period. And nobody can tell me different. But I have my reasons why he's one of my favorite players of all time. Not this, and other people will argue that, no, he ain't a top. To me, he's in my top 5. It will always be there. So,
yeah,
that's how I look at it with the comparisons, man. Let LeBron be LeBron. Let Kobe be Kobe. Let Jordan be what we all know Jordan was.
Yeah. So, I mean,
y'all be talking about some crazy stuff. I love reading comments, man. Y'all, I don't know. Like I just don't worry about some of the things that other people comment on. It don't matter to me. I don't know. But I'm not saying y'all are wrong or anything like that. But it's just funny to see the things that some people hone in on. It's hilarious. But yeah, Smitty, man, the doc was, like you said, man, is another thing that really caught me off guard a little bit was all these years we've been calling it the flu game.
Oh, yeah.
All this time, you mean to tell me this dude had food for it, which is a monster. Don't get it twisted. That explains why he was looking the way he was looking. But it don't have the same ring to it though. The food poison game. That's just crazy, man, to find out little stuff like that. Stuff like to find out, and to me, and we didn't even talk about this last week, to find out how close we all were to wearing Adidas.
Oh yeah,
bruh. Now Adidas makes some fly shoes. I ain't saying you can't wear Adidas, but I'm just saying to hear that Jordan didn't even want to go to Nike. And I kind of heard that story before. I kind of heard the story about his mom saying take the meeting, but I didn't know I didn't know that he wanted to go elsewhere. Like I didn't know that he just didn't want to have anything to do with Nike. Like he preferred Adidas. I never knew that. That is crazy to me. And look at what Nike and the Jordan brand became. Just crazy stuff like that, man, that I didn't know. Trying to think of what else. After winning the title after his dad died, the Father's Day, weekend game. All these years, I didn't know. I didn't really put together, what he was crying about, right? I always thought, he's excited. He got, because he was that crazy about winning championships. But then when they remind you in the doc, his pops won't, like his dad was his rock as far as being at his games. And he had won the first one. He's always won his championships. And we see him in the pictures. His dad is right there. Dad wasn't with him that time. And I had never heard the sound of it. For them to play the audio of us hearing him boo and cry, I was like, yo. Like that one almost, I was like, oh, I feel him. Like, yo. And like Smitty said, just, to see the human side of him. Even though, let me throw this out there, Smitty, and I throw it back to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and act like Jordan was a saint.
Oh, no.
Some people, I'm sure, will come away from this doc and say, yo, he was a piece of work. And he was. He was. I mean, what you going to say? He was. But even with that, even with seeing the negative side of his personality, or if some people say he was too hard on his players, and it was still cool to see the human side, the good and the bad, and that's what I took away from it too, man. You got to peel the curtain back a little bit to really see, how this guy is, whether you hate him or love him. So that's what I thought too. That's why I love documentaries. That's why I like interviews. Like even if you have a favorite artist or whatever, I love watching interviews because I want to see the real person. I want to hear, the person. I don't want to just hear, your brand. I like to really hear what people have to say. So I thought it was great, man.
Yeah, and the thing is, like you had with the parents. Mom telling them, dad telling them, yo, take the meeting, see what these guys got to offer, even though he didn't want to go, and that, which is pretty funny. Like, man, I'm not trying to meet these people. I'm not trying to see what's going on. Like, I ain't trying to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to see all of that, develop and unfold firsthand, like, that was cool. I like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that was huge.
Yeah, that was
especially
crazy.
I'm like, just think about that. Like, I mean, like I said, Adidas is a good brand of shoe, but I just couldn't see Jordan being on that. Like I mean, when you look at it in hindsight,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
We wouldn't have known no different.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing.
Everybody would be talking about 3 stripes.
Exactly. You sure would.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And Nike's would Nike have been? Here's a good question. It's hard to say would they have been as big because obviously Jordan was, helped that immensely. But let's say without the Jordan and the Adidas had the Jordan brand and all of that, would Nike still have made super fly shoes? Because we got to think of everything else Nike brought to the table. When you think about the pennies and all of that, the phone posits and, you know what I mean, flights. And I wonder would all of that have still Air Max? You know what I mean? I wonder would we still be would Nike still be, here's a better question. Would Nike still be as popular to most of us without the Jordan brand? Because there's people who literally, I know these people. Their only Nikes are Jordans. You know what I mean? And now, technically, you kind of separate Jordan from Nike in a sense. But they don't wear no other Nikes. You know what I mean? So I wonder how all of those other Nikes, because I like Nike shoes, all kinds. I wonder would they still have made those dope shoes, like if Jordan would have, the Jordan thing wouldn't have sprung them to another level. That's interesting.
That's a good point.
Clearly, Jordan was the catalyst, but
Oh yeah, that's what he was a catalyst for a whole lot. And I mean, like that's the whole thing. See, he had the super, he had the squeaky clean image for like the longest time. So you couldn't really get at that. He had he had the whole package. He had the whole package going for him. And then it was like when he went gambling and everything like that, it was like, oh well, now it's time to knock him down. And I mean, that's ultimately what happens with a character like that. They're gonna look for whatever they could look for to take him down a few pegs.
Yep.
So they found that chain. Oh, he went where and did what? Oh no, well, we got to report that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, he just shown that he's a human being. He wants to have fun and all that stuff. Like, he want to release a little bit. And I mean, that's the other thing too about his pops being there. Like, his pops was all in on his career. Like, got in front of the reporters and everything when they tried to get at him about the gambling stuff.
Yeah, see, I forgot all of that. See, that's what I'm saying. We were younger. I won't pay attention
younger,
to that.
Like, we wasn't really,
you know what I'm saying?
Something that I was necessarily looking at, like,
not at all, man.
Back then, like, nah, it was just like I was interested in his game.
That was cool to see that. I was like, wow, his dad, like, really. Nah, I got that. And it's funny having a son, like, I could see me being like that. Like, don't worry about it. I got you. Like, let me talk for you. They can't find me. I'm gonna be professional enough, but let me handle it. They gonna want to talk to me because I'm your dad, and that's a way for us to get it off of you. That's cool, man. I didn't pay attention to any of that back then. I just didn't. I mean, yeah. Trying to think, was there anything else, man, that really stuck out? I mean, we talked about the Scotty thing last week. I think it was just interesting, man, that a lot of the players felt the same way in terms of, oh, man, why did you say that? Like, when around the league, they recognize that, dog, you should not poke the bear. Why? Like when who was it that said, I don't know why it's slipping my mind right now. Oh, Reggie Miller. When he said when he was when Reggie was a rookie and he had the good game, he was getting off, and then Reggie talking trash to him like, hey, I thought you were supposed to be able to walk on water and all of that. He said Jordan came and went off in the second half and was like, yo, don't ever talk to Black Jesus like that again. Yo, I'm sorry. The dude might have been a sociopath and all that, but to me, I love moments like that. Even though I'm not that type of guy, that to me, that's unprecedented. Like when somebody, even if you don't like the person, you gotta respect somebody that can be that confident in themselves and actually be that. Do you know what type of cat you gotta be to literally write checks that your butt can cash at any time? Like, you can let your mouth right in. Like, you like, okay, all right. Watch what's gonna happen next.
Yep.
And literally do it. Like, that's come on, man.
Yeah, that
kind of stuff is wild.
The other thing too. This is the other thing too that I never knew. But I mean, he never said this until the documentary. But them going for championship number 7.
Yeah.
Considering what transpired, the Knicks came out the East. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks came out the East against those Spurs. They would have been able to beat them boys. Man. They would have been able to beat them boys and get that thing in 7. I mean, and get that thing in 6 or 7.
And to hear that Jordan ain't satisfied with 6, I never knew that either. He wanted more. Yeah, man, it was just cool, man. And yeah, we talked about this last week too near the end of the show, but just to bring it up again, when, after BJ Armstrong and them had won the first game, and just, that's an iconic moment. Like Jordan with that bat and the cigar, and he just like,
Yeah.
hey man, listen, it's easy to talk trash when you up.
Yeah.
He basically was saying, but a real man, like, do it when you down. That's when it matters. And I'm like, see, those moments right there, I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, like that's the kind of stuff. Before, and that's what I'm saying. That was before, what was that, game 2 or something like that? That's before the game took place. And he's up here like, oh, you talking all that talk. Okay, talk like that when it's 0-0. I can respect a man that talk that talk when he's down 0-0 when he down. But
yo, I love it.
Talking when you up 5-6 points. Like, you saying that before the game starts because you about to pour it on.
You know what's about. That's what I'm saying. That's a dude right there. Ain't everybody can do that.
Like, see, and that's what I'm saying. Just think about it just for a sec. Think if Michael Jordan did take that approach of let's super team up. Let me get Shaq or something like that. Him, Shaq, and I don't know. You could have Pippen there too, or just another superstar in the league. They all click up together and say, "Yo, let's run the table." That's nothing but chips.
Nothing.
They're not losing for a decade at least.
Oh gosh.
Take Jordan and his mentality and slap that on Shaq. Them two running
like
together.
The workout. Man. Remember how Kobe used to get on him? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine that. Wow.
Jordan there?
A big 3 that includes Shaq?
Yeah, Shaq.
Jeez.
Like I said, nothing but chips.
Jeez.
No one's stopping it. You think they would have lost? You think they would have lost to the whatchamacallit, to the Houston, to the Rockets back then? No way. They're not gonna lose to them.
The way Jordan got on teammates, he would have turned Shaq into a decent free throw shooter.
That's what I'm saying.
He would have rolled Shaq like, yo, man, I don't care what it. Listen, you ain't gonna have me in these games having to bail everything out because you hacking Shaq. Nah. Jordan would have, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, hate him or love him, he won't play in them games, man. If you was on his team, you had to meet his level of greatness in terms of will. He knew you weren't gonna be the same skill level, but you just had to have the same mentality. And like I said, I'm not sitting here saying I loved every single thing. I mean, I don't think it's always necessary to ride people that much, and to be like a tyrant. I acknowledge that too. But, again, if my wife was down here, she would tell y'all, I always say this. I respect people who don't mind being exactly who they are. Even if I don't like them. Even if I don't like a person, I still be like, you know what? I got to respect. Prime example, and I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just going to give you a quick example. I don't care for this current president. He's just wild. But you know what? I got to respect one thing about him. He don't care. He does not mind being exactly who he is. Don't give a... Bruh, you want some good comedy? Go back and watch some of them briefings and how he talked to some of them reporters. Some of the funniest stuff I have ever seen. He don't give two you-know-whats. And I actually have to, and I'm not saying respect, like, but y'all understand what I'm saying. Listen, anybody willing to be theyself, I respect it to a degree. What I don't respect is fakers. I don't do that. I'd rather you tell me exactly what it is, and we can hate each other. At least I know where you coming from. You know where I'm coming from. Rather than it being, some buddy chum type stuff, and then behind your back, I don't play them games.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what listen. Jordan was what he was, and he's unapologetic about it. I gotta respect that. Don't agree with everything he did, but
right.
Gotta respect it. And you know what, Smitty, man, I hate to be coming on here changing my stance. But after watching it again, I might have to agree with you, Smitty. It wasn't as bad a push off as
Oh,
I
the push
thought.
up, man. Yeah, there wasn't no push. My man was running the other direction.
It's
like,
still. I will say this though, and I know Jordan ain't never gonna say it. It was still a push. It just wasn't. It wasn't enough to. I agree with what he said. Look, the guy was running this way anyway. You know, it's not like that ain't the reason why he didn't make the play. You know, he was already going that way, and Jordan kind of gave him a little, you know. So, but I have to take it back. It wasn't as bad as I thought. You know, after seeing it multiple times, slowed down. Yeah, I have to take that back.
He gave him more of a nudge.
Little nudge.
Like, that was more of a nudge. It wasn't like
little slight push. But again, would you had called it? That's the question I had for the chat. I don't think I'm calling that. Even with me saying, yeah, it was a little push. It wasn't enough for me to think. Watching that whole thing play out, that wasn't enough for me to say that really stopped Russell from recovering.
Yeah, like he was out of position either way. Like, Jordan pulled a move, he was out of position. He was not about to jump in front of that play and stop it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Jordan did not prevent him from being able to make the play. I mean, I highly doubt if you got Russell on camera, you know he gonna say otherwise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't make that play because MJ pushed you out of the way. Like, you know, like, I know he was.
Oh, that's who he said he had on his hit list. It was him. Remember when he said that? He said he was talking
trash. That joke about him quitting.
This dude held grudges on everybody, but that is crazy. Wow.
You're like, oh, you know what? Because he did that, all right, I got something for that. Like, dang, like, my man just.
Wow.
He sure did.
The push off, I will say this, it looked worse than it was because you saw the motion. So it looked, especially from the angle that they always show it definitely looked like he pushed him. But I would have to come back and agree with Smitty and say it wasn't. Nah, that was not the reason that Russell was out of position. Not at all. He was literally going by. Jordan just gave him a little, go on. Go ahead and go that way. But what a way to end it, man. I wish he would have never come back. And it didn't affect his legacy to me, but I could have done without those Wizard years and all of that. I wish he would have. If you would have retired with that.
Oh yeah, that was the perfect way to
That's how you go out. That should be the last image.
But see, you know what though? It kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense as to why he kept going. I mean, as to why he came back, because he never got the opportunity to win a seventh. So clearly he had the itch. So then he went ahead and decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and come back. One more. You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, the 2 years he came back. Like, I mean, that would be my takeaway, you know, from that. But otherwise, otherwise he shouldn't have came back. Like, he should have just left it at that. But see, that lets you know that he still was able to give people that work in that era. And I'll say this last point. This is the last point I want to say, because I don't know, we got to wrap it up. But the thing is that I want people, this is the main thing that people need to understand. This is why fundamentals are so important in sports.
Yeah.
Whether you're no matter what the sport. Because in basketball, Jordan with his fundamentals, with the mix of flair, is why people said that's why they look past Bill Russell in all the championships he won, but yet they look at Jordan and be like, oh, but Jordan's the GOAT. He won 6 titles. Bill won, he won 13 championships, 11 as a player, 2 as a coach. You know what I'm saying? And that gets overshadowed in these kind of discussions. Because while Bill Russell had a good game, his game was not like what Jordan had brought to the table. Jordan brought something that was so unique and so diverse to the table He gave you fundamentals with the flash and flare. Players now don't truly have that. They don't have a firm base of fundamentals. Unlike how you have it, like you look at Tim Duncan. He played through these eras where all you gotta be able to run in transition, and all you gotta have superstars, and all you gotta have all these things. And it's like he played straight fundamental ball. He didn't have a flashy crossover, a super duper spin move. He didn't have none of those. He just had straight core fundamentals and was given 20, 20 and 10. 20 and 10 plus every night. You see what I'm saying? So it's not these eras of basketball where people always like to say who can be and who can do what, and this wouldn't last here and everything. It's all comes down to having a fundamentally sound game. Guys like Reggie Miller could play in all these eras. Guys like, Bob Cousy, dang, I can't think of my man's name right now. Oscar Robinson, all that. They will last in they'll be able to do all the things they do in these eras because they have fundamentally sound games first.
Yep.
Not just, hey, I can score better than everybody the way I play. It's like I can do what I do because I have fundamentally sound technique. And then I add on top of that, that's what takes you to another level. That's what does that. So that's just something to bear in mind because, like I said, you saw Tim Duncan walk off, but don't get it twisted. Tim Duncan he played through all these eras, even through a decent part of today's eras, and won titles. So you can't just say, oh, it can't be done, or Jordan's game wouldn't last, and all these players wouldn't be able to do that here. Yes, they would. That's why you hear people like myself, Sim. Hey, you hear the guys that played against him and with him saying if he played today, he's averaging 40 plus. I'm like,
easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Like, so nah. Shaq said 50. You know what I mean?
Like the Jordan rules was in effect then when people said he get the calls. You think it imagine now with how soft they call the game.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So just just know that.
I mean,
understand that.
Look at the understudy. Look what Kobe did right after that.
Yeah.
And even though you can't necessarily say Kobe was this era, early on, but so yeah, Jordan would have been fine, man.
Mm-hmm.
He would be fine right about now. Let's just think about all the people in his position that he would have had to face right now. Who's stopping him?
That's true.
Who's clamping him?
That's true.
I'm just saying. There ain't no Dennis Rodman. I mean, think about how good Dennis was defensively in Detroit and in the Bulls. They ain't, and I could be forgetting somebody, but there ain't nobody clamping like that.
No.
Right now. So if you can't play D like that, who doing it? Exactly. Jordan. Just think about the position he played. Who the guys he would be facing. Come on, man. A prime Jordan right now. Ooh. Yeah, he would be just fine. But, it comes with the territory, man, because I see, and I even seen somebody here in the chat say it was more, Jordan focused. It wasn't like the focus on the team. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying that. But what do y'all expect, man? This is a guy who's basically known as the greatest basketball player of all time. Like, you already knew. With the last dance was clearly about Jordan, along with the Bulls. So for it to be heavily Jordan focused, that was no surprise to me. I knew that going in, but I don't know. That's all I got, man. I enjoyed it. It doesn't mean that we agree with everything that he was. Would I have liked him to have spoken up more on political issues like some of the guys do now? Sure. But one thing, you got to consider, not a lot of people did do that. Even before that era, of course you had guys like Muhammad Ali, But even think about Ali during those times when he did what he did. That was still rare for somebody on that level to risk it all. I mean, like, here, I guess this is what I would say, Smitty. This is the perfect way to end this whole thing. It's interesting how as people we always want to compare somebody against the best person. They are the best person for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't do that. And that's why I don't understand so many Jordan comparisons. He's Michael Jordan for a reason. Why are we always looking for another guy to say, oh, he's better than Jordan? Why do we do that? I never understand that. And I know some of Still a Nation here tonight. I'm going to pick with y'all for a hot second. Y'all do it to Juju Smith-Schuster. He ain't no number one. He ain't no AB. Who's AB?
Right.
AB was the best receiver in the league. And you could argue, oh, well, what about Julio? Oh, what about DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, Hopkins.
But arguably, especially for a 5-6 year span, it was Antonio Brown. So why are we trying to compare somebody else to him? It don't happen that often. You know what I mean? You strike lightning in a bottle sometimes and you'll get that next guy. But same thing with music. You know, people always trying to, oh, he ain't better than. If so-and-so is supposed to be the GOAT, why are we always trying to find somebody that's. I just don't understand that mentality. That's just me. I don't get it. I just accept people for who they are. And if they turn out to be great, then I can say, wow, this dude one of the best I ever seen. You know who I'm saying that about right now, Smitty?
Who?
Let me see. I'm gonna put a year on it. Third year, 7 more. Let Patrick Mahomes have a solid 10 years of consistency how he been playing. You'll hear me say that's one of the best quarterbacks I ever seen. Because I've seen him already do stuff that I don't see other people do. Right? Same reason why I always have said, and this ain't no secret, a lot of people say this. I've always felt like Aaron Rodgers for a time was the most talented quarterback in the league. Even though when you start saying that, people always went, oh, it's Brady, because Brady has all the... Bruh, Brady can't play like Aaron Rodgers. Stop it. He's not that. As far as physical talent, that's all I'm talking about. So you daggone right when it's all said and done 20 years from now, I'm going to say, yo, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best dudes I ever seen do it. In his prime, I'm talking about his capability. I ain't talking about the chips. Right? And that's how I feel about Mahomes do some stuff. It's crazy because I saw that arm talent when he was in college. I just didn't know he was going to develop to what he is now. And if he keep doing it, think about that. Because he's going into his 4th year. And after 10 years, if we look back and this Mahomes got at least 2 or 3. But I ain't comparing him to nobody. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to compare him. I'm just enjoying this era right now. And if he turns out to be a great, then fine. But I'm not. But it's people already doing that to him, Smitty. Trying to compare him to. I'm like, I don't understand why is there such an infatuation with. I mean, we can have barbershop talk. That's fine. You know, Smitty know what I'm saying. Like, we always do that. Me and Smitty have done that. But it's not like we ain't so passionate about it. Like, no, he's better. He's better. Like, what's wrong with y'all, man? What is wrong with y'all? You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Yeah, like.
People be in their feelings. Like, I don't understand that, man. That's just a joy.
I mean, look, it's like when you see a legend, when you see somebody that has that, because you know why? It's the mystique. There's a mystique to it. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I saw LeBron and I first heard the crazy thing is, one of my friends when I was in college, my roommate was from. Well, yeah, my roommate lived. He's from Ohio. And he showed me like LeBron, you know, because back then, you know, he had a website up and everything. It was like a local website somebody put together that was kind of like a fan page. So, and it shows LeBron James stuff on there. He's like, man, I'm telling you, yo, this dude is going straight to the NBA. This guy is a monster. Y'all, I'm telling you, people don't know nothing, but this dude is next. I'm telling you, like, this dude's better than Jordan. Now, I looked at the page, I'm like, he ain't going to be better than no Jordan, man. Come on, that's Jordan. But see, that's the whole thing. When you see somebody that has that potential mystique of being like the guy, it's like, yo, he could be it. Now, when he got on that national stage and I saw him playing, I'm like, yo, this dude looks like, see, when I saw him, I was like, he looks like Kobe, like playing with Shaq, in his prime. Like, he looks like him now when he was over there in high school. Yep. So I'm like, hey, this dude, he may be the real deal. So when you see someone that gives that kind of stuff, like, I seen somebody put some footage up of a quarterback challenge throwing the ball distance wise, and then you saw Pat Mahomes on his knees throw it 65 yards, and then we look at Mike Vick. He threw that sucker standing flat-footed, throwing it like all the way into the back of the end zone from one side to the next. Like, you look at these guys to see who that next guy is because of that mystique. Man. Yes, we appreciate the athleticism and the gift, but at the same time, he's like, yo, this dude could be the next, it guy. Yeah. Because of what he's doing. It's not about quickly dethroning somebody necessarily, but in some cases it is because you've heard the same name so much.
Forever, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Tom Brady been heard 10 trillion times. The Patriots winning forever. Now it's like, man, Tom Brady's finally gone. Woo! And it's like, so now the league can breathe. And that's why, like in the Jordan joint, when Jordan left, now other people got an opportunity to shine because Jordan wasn't there. And I'm like, dang, it's like that? Like,
yeah. The man had that cloud over people. They just get depressed when he come around. Man, you said Michael, man, can y'all imagine? Y'all remember that year when Vic, that year with the Eagles? I want to say it was his second year with the Eagles. Mm-hmm. I think it was the 2012 season when he passed, like when he was throwing 300-yard games and stuff. Man, I just sit back sometimes and think about, imagine if Michael Vick, when he came in the league, took it more seriously. He says it himself. He said his playbook sometimes be in the trunk of his car. He ain't follow nothing. He just started running. Just imagine the talent that he had, because people forget that boy had a cannon. Vic had a cannon, boy. And man, just imagine, like we could have been seen. Well, we did see it. We just didn't see it. Matter of fact, it actually was better. I was gonna say we could have been seeing the Lamar Jackson effect, but we did see it. But it was only a couple seasons, if that, where Vic put it together, both running and passing. Just imagine if he would have took the game more seriously and really focused on quarterbacking early in his career. Wow. I could only imagine. If he looking for reads first and then, like, man, wow. But yeah, great show, man. I think we tackled the topics pretty good there, man. And we'll come back next week, see if there's anything to talk about. Hopefully there's some type of news, man. I don't know when. It's funny. We normally would be a few weeks out from EA Play. Who knows how these things are gonna, pan out now that there's no EA Play. So it's gonna be interesting to see how, games, period, not just Madden, but games that would normally be at EA Play or E3, how they're gonna be delivered to the public. That's gonna be interesting.
Like I said, it's not till June. I think they said like June 8th or 11th or something like that. That's when they're gonna have their EA Play stream cast.
Oh, so they are gonna do that? Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna be doing a stream kind of thing in June, early June. So we'll see what that, how that goes. I don't know. Expect from it what we expect from it, but at least it'll be something shown, so we'll have something to look at.
Yep. Yeah, Kia, you right, man. We saw the flashes, but my God, man, he would have just, man. I dream about that sometimes, because y'all know I'm going to ride for Vic being a VA boy, man. If he would have just been, if he would have ran into Morning Wig early, like, Lord have mercy. It's crazy to think, because think about this. As crazy as Lamar Jackson is, I think people forget how fast Michael Vick was. Like, Lord have mercy, man. Vic, when he was in open field, don't get me wrong, Lamar got it too, but Vic, once he get to the second level, it was a wrap. So I just wish he would have been more of the pure quarterback with the running. Like, I wish he would have learned that a little earlier to, go through his reads and stuff. And if it break down, because again, he had a cannon. He could pass. He could put up a 300-yard game on you. It just would have been something to see early. Like, we would have saw what we're seeing now way earlier, and had Vic, been in the right situation and the right mindset. Because he said it himself. And he wasn't really paying attention in Atlanta. He was just doing his own thing. So, but all right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Anything else you got, Smitty?
No, that's pretty much. Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
What's that?
So last
August 2nd. Whoa. Didn't they come out? They came out then.
No, that was last year. Hold on, wait.
They came out early like that last year too.
Yeah, they did that last year. There's nothing. Unless there's something official that you know of, or whatever, then I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. But yeah, just to confirm it, that their EA Digital Live Play, I think they're calling it or whatever, it's going to be on June 11th. So June 11th, 4 p.m. PST. So that would be 7 o'clock Eastern time for us guys on that day. So. But, I mean, look, if the game ain't ready to drop, I am concerned about them putting that game out early. That sucker needs to come out when it's ready. The later it needs to be in August. If they got to do that, then so be it. So,
in reality, without telling too much, it shouldn't have slowed down, but so much.
Yeah, not too much.
Because we know where the game is in March and things like that before, and a lot of this stuff they definitely can do from home. The funny thing is, cats probably working harder, because it's all digital. And, I know the game, I'm pretty sure it had gone to alpha and all of that. So it will be interesting, though, to hear, maybe in interviews, how the pandemic affected development. Maybe it'll be a crutch that's used. We've heard that before. Oh, we didn't have, I hope it ain't nothing like that.
Yeah, I hope not, but
we'll see, guys. But I am going to sign off. We're done.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone has a good night. Be safe. My state, again, is opening up to a yellow status tomorrow. So, if your state is the same, just do your own due diligence, man. Don't believe the hype. Just be careful yourself. Like, just what I don't understand is, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, and I'm not, but real quick in one sentence, I don't understand how people think because a magic date happens, then all the threat is over. That boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Go out if you need to go out, but still do whatever you would have done today. Meaning, if you wore a mask today, wear a mask tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't change that much. Like, the threat is still out there. It's still out there. So just be careful. That's all I'm gonna say. But all right, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. We'll catch you guys next week. God bless. Good night. And we thank you for watching the Sim Standard Podcast. Peace.
Peace.